Hello, Void Dwellers. I'm not what I would define as a combatant atheist. I don't spend my days arguing with religious people, and I don't think that religious people are stupid. In fact, I have an appreciation for religion and theology. While I'm effectively an atheist, as in I don't follow any religion and I don't believe in any current human idea of God, I have some personal philosophies that do not make the existence of a higher power impossible. And that approach comes from an understanding of what religion is at the end of the day. And much like the scientific method, it's a method to describe, categorize, and quantify reality, or specific aspects of reality. That's what humans have been doing from the moment we became aware. Humans try to understand what reality is, why it is the way it is, and how to influence it. And through the ages, we've developed different methods to try and understand those questions, whether it's religion or spirituality or even old philosophies like Aristotle's method. When Aristotle says that a rock falls to the ground because it wants to, because that is its nature, he's trying to categorize an observed phenomenon. Now, to modern ears, that may sound like an inefficient explanation. These days, we'd explain it with gravity and general relativity. But Aristotle was trying to do the exact same thing that Einstein did, understanding and describing the nature of reality. Now, with time, we've created the scientific method, and it turned out to be a far superior method of describing the world than other methods, at least when it comes to specific aspects of it. The scientific method had a lot more success in allowing us to influence reality, mainly because it is an open method that allows itself to evolve and improve based on results and observations. Religion can't do that, or at least it is very limited in it. Because for a religion to be a religion, it has to rely on certain assumptions that can never be changed or challenged. For example, the existence of God, or the nature of God, or perhaps also some basic myths and legends that have to do with the actions of God. For many people, these are things that define their faith and can never be altered. Now, in the scientific method, however, nothing is sacred except for the evidence. If someone comes up with a hypothesis, they have to come up with an experiment that might disprove it. There has to be something observable that we can do that if the hypothesis is wrong in predicting the outcome, then we'd know the hypothesis should be altered or abandoned altogether. For example, Einstein's theory of relativity predicted many things, and as decades passed and technology improved, we were able to test many of those predictions. If one of them would have been proven wrong, that would have shaken Einstein's entire theory. But as of now, every single prediction his theory makes seems to hold up with observations. Now, that was true for a long time about Newton's theory as well, and some of it still stands. But in no small part thanks to Einstein, we now know that some of it was actually wrong, like the way he described gravity and time. And so, while his genius remains revered by people, we moved on to theories that match better the observable world. Religion in its essence is incapable of doing that. There is some flexibility, and indeed religions do change through the years. Judaism today is not identical to Judaism 2,000 years ago. Christianity broke into denominations and sects, and in Islam people like to talk about Sharia law, but there are 5 versions of it, and they are all constantly debated. So yeah, religion can adapt and change, but only to a point. There are some things that are not negotiable. At least that's how some religious people view it. To me personally, I think that religion can survive in a scientific world, but only if it stays in its lane. And what I mean by that is that religion serves as an answer to questions that the scientific method doesn't even ask. But it shouldn't go into the questions the scientific method does ask, and pretend to be an authority there. See, the reason for this video is that I came across this video by a young rabbi who was doing the cool, hip rabbi thing. And in the video he talks about evolution. And he starts pretty good, admitting that it's one of the most successful theories in history, admitting there is ridiculous amount of evidence to support it. He even mentions the flu virus mutating every year and explains how it's kind of like a proof of concept of the entire evolutionary process. But then he says that the Earth has to be 5,785 years old. And he actually says that is not negotiable. And evolution takes millions of years. So the rabbi suggests God sped things up in the 6 days of creation. He made it look like millions of years have passed, but in reality it was only 6 days, and the universe is only 5,785 years old. And this is when, in my eyes, you took your vehicle of religion and you drove it into the lane of science, and you are the one causing the collision here. Because science is just doing its thing, it's just in its lane. It makes an hypothesis, it experiments, it collects evidence and data, it confirms it into theories, or it abandons it, whatever. It's being science. And then you come here, bursting into its lane, and you go, my magic book tells me the world is only 5,785 years old, so it only looks like it's been around for millions of years because my God is basically Doctor Strange and made time move really fast for 6 days. And when you do that, when you bring your vehicle into my lane and you cause a collision on purpose, that's when I will become a bit combatant and tell you to either go back to your lane or grow the fuck up and stop believing in fairy tales and time warps and silly trickster gods who fuck with us for no reason. I mean, why? Why would a god do that? Why would a god make everything look like it's millions of years old, but tell us all that it's actually 6 days? Do you hear yourself? Don't you understand how fucking ridiculous you sound? It's like this guy I met online a few years back. He was reacting to a video of mine in my old Hebrew channel where I explained why the existence of ghosts is very, very unlikely. And he told me that his mother one day had a dream about his dead grandmother. She came to her all soaking wet and told her that she was drowning. And the next day they discovered there was this pipe or something that exploded near the cemetery and a lot of graves were flooded. So I said, let me get this straight. Your grandmother was put in a hole in the ground. Her skin fell off her. Her flesh decayed. Maggots ate her eyes. Little creature burrowed into her bones. But water was the last straw. She was just like, no, I'm gonna tell my daughter about this. All the rest is fine. I'll endure. But I'll be damned if I'm rotting away in a soggy grave. Is that what you're telling me? And the guy responded with an insult that included my own mother, and that was the last I've heard of him. Some religious people have constructed their entire personality around their irrational faith, and if you poke holes in it, they have an emotional reaction. But that guy drove his vehicle into my lane. I didn't come to his house and told him he believed in nonsense. I made a video about my personal view that ghosts are nonsense. And he came and tried to convince me with this ridiculous story of his. He was the one causing the collision, not me. Look, religion doesn't have to make sense, okay? People always make that mistake of confusing a religious text with a scientific text. The creation mythos, any creation mythos, the Jewish one included, is not meant to be an exact scientific explanation of how or when the world actually was created. It was written as a way for those people thousands of years ago to understand the world around them. It is a fascinating inside look into the way their thinking worked back then. And it can have metaphorical meanings that are still relevant to our life. I always took the Adam and Eve story as a kind of introduction to the human creature, to existentialism really. You are born naked, you don't mind your nudity at first, you think the entire world is your playground, and all creatures mean you no harm. Then puberty hits, you grow up, you realize you're naked, you start to want things, to have desires, and it is inevitable that you would metaphorically be kicked out of the paradise of your youth, and find yourself in the real world having to fend for yourself with no one but the family you made for yourself. I think that is a powerful metaphor that holds true to this day. It's not scientific truth, it's an existential truth. And that is the lane of religion. And that's where it should remain. When you're telling people, God sped up time, you're making humanity dumber. You are holding us back. But if you said, What is a day to a god and what it is to a human? What could be the metaphor that is given us by the use of the word day here? If you took it to an interesting place and stayed in your fucking lane, then your method of describing the world can have its place, especially when it deals with issues that other methods, like the scientific method, have nothing to do with. Stay in your lane, respect everyone's space, and there's no reason religion and science cannot coexist.